Have you ever had that moment where you had an intuitive insight and you kind of knew what would happen, but instead of following that and talking or sharing what that might be or following through on like the next steps that needed to happen, you just ignored it? And then a few months later, it actually came true, but you missed the bus, or you realized you should have trusted yourself and like spoken out about it, or did something or said something or acted on it. Those are the moments where self-trust is really frustrating, because we realize like we have something that we can trust, and it's ourselves, right? And those moments where we wanted to trust ourselves, but because of maybe outside judgments or appearances, we're afraid to go ahead and say what needs to be said or do what needs to be done, because the judgment or the appearance or the perceived judgment, even just like the pretend voices of judgment that wander around in our minds, show up. And then they stop us from acting and doing or saying what needs to be said, done, or acted out. It's a difficult thing, because honestly, how many of us could say we were taught to trust ourselves or trust our intuition or our instinct? There's so much out there on, your intuition or listening to the universe, which yes, we have to trust the universe because we are all part of like the bigger picture and all of the things around us. And having trust for that means that you can relax into life a little bit more. But what does it actually mean when you don't listen to yourself, when you don't listen to that intuition that showed up, or the self-trust, that moment where you go, oh, I knew that this was the thing I needed to do, and instead of following through, I just kind of filed it away and decided it wasn't valid or right, or it might piss somebody off, or it might shake something up in your life that it's more comfortable to stay where you are. That can be another reason why we ignore those signals, and we believe that actually I should just ignore it because it's more comfortable being here right now. It's hard. If I make this decision, it'll be a harder path. And I had somebody recently say, like, no matter what, usually the best decision is the harder decision. So here's a perfect example. It would have been easier for me in this moment to not come on camera and put this video on YouTube and say, you know what, I'm much more comfortable kind of staying behind the scenes and not talking or messing up on camera and not posting this. But the more important thing is, I know this is something I should be doing, because I know how many people are out there wanting to trust in their vision or their intuition or that thing that they're desiring, but they're squashing it under so many things. And I'm just finishing up a book, The Self-Trust Method, that I've been writing and sharing what I've really sucked at in the past that I had to own and take accountability for, and then actually change and repair within myself. It's not fixing, because you're not broken. It's more of just repairing these places that we self-abandoned or betrayed what we knew was the right thing for us. And it can be the right thing for someone else too. But the most important is taking accountability when you've self-abandoned what would be best for you. And then you feel resentful that you're not living your dream life, or you're not with that person that you've, wanted or dreamed up, because you're settling in something that is not respectful to you or thoughtful to you or caring, or you're staying in a job that's comfortable, and making that harder decision means having to hustle or try something that's really uncomfortable and sitting in the discomfort of that. We are very, very comfortable right now as a species. We have this media, we have Netflix. If you get tired of my video, you're gonna go to the next thing and move on, because it's easy. It's easy to do and just let our brain rot. But the harder decision would be to push forward, to be uncomfortable. Even a year ago, I would say I wasn't comfortable on camera. I wasn't comfortable wanting to share or speak with other people about this. I wanted to kind of just hide and maybe build it on the internet. But while I'm doing this, I have to keep trusting that this is the right way to go, that this is the right next move. And doing those repairs of understanding where I was self-abandoning and betraying myself and leaving opportunity on the table for what I actually wanted to achieve in my life, I really had to think and sit with that and come to terms with, it doesn't really matter if I come online or I share a video and somebody says something negative or the video bombs, because the most important thing is that I did it and I followed myself and the trust that I had this was necessary for me. So another thing I was really bad at was following through completely. Like, I would start something and I had just all this momentum and all this energy, and when it got hard, because I was always the overgiver or the fixer, I would dive into other people's problems or needs or someone else's business and be like, I can fix that too. I would always be problem solving in the back of my mind of like something else I could do, because it was a good diversion from the hard moment of still trusting myself, still trusting what I was capable of, still trusting that what my vision for the future and what I wanted is the right way to go. And I look at all of the people I really, really look up to, and it doesn't, all of the things we can say about their character or their religious affiliation or things like that, it doesn't matter, but the ones that I really admire are the ones who followed the vision all the way to the end, and they've had to take scrutiny, they've had to take public, just beats, and even some of them have gone to prison and then come back, and it's a wild ride as a human being, right? And then for me, coming on camera and sharing about self-trust, of course I've had moments of self-doubt. Who hasn't? Of course I've had moments where I turned away from trusting myself, and turned away in those moments where I looked back even 6 months later and was like, oh my God, if I had just spoken out about that thing, or if I had just followed through. And instead of doing that now, I follow it. Step by step each day, I took accountability. I stopped the overthinking, the overfunctioning, the overgiving. And then it's just, am I trusting myself? Am I keeping myself safe? Am I following my path to what I want and desire for success? And then it starts to continue to blossom. Instead of getting distracted or self-abandoning or running over there to rescue someone else, well, I'm the one who needed to be focusing on me. And so what that looks like is taking the time to, invest in coaching for myself, in different types of therapy, and understanding all of the different psychology and the neuroscience. And that was the biggest piece that I fell in love with, was understanding the neuroscience of what it takes to rewire your mind, which essentially rewires your life. And so having those moments where we leaned out of self-trust, but leaned into everyone else's judgment and the thoughts of what could happen if we follow our intuition. It feels a little bit devastating, but it's a good guide point to say, okay, all right, so why did I do that? Why did I choose to listen to the perceived judgments, or what seems like some law written somewhere in a universal code book? I love thinking about that, because so many of us have a belief, but we don't know where it came from. And if you don't know where it came from and you don't know why you're believing it, like, oh, if I do this, everyone will mock me or laugh at me, you have to really question it. You have to really sit with it and think, like, well, why would somebody judge me for saying something? It might cause something else to happen. It might create something, but the most important thing is that I followed and trusted what needed to happen happened. what needed to happen, and I did it. Sorry, not happen. So looking at that, looking at what judgments or perceived judgments of others or perceived rules that people might give us, or say. Like somebody might say, well, you should do this. Well, where did you get that idea? Why do you have that belief, right? And in the span of life, what you should or shouldn't be doing is entirely up to you, because you're the only one living in this body and in this life and in this moment. And if you should be doing something that you believe somebody else would reward you for or judge you for, then you're not living your life. You're living theirs or somebody else's judgment. So being able to lean into that and look at all of those things that we do and that I did, the failures I've had when I didn't trust myself or when I was overgiving, and having to pull back, it takes this immense amount of work. And not in the like grind work, it's the day in and day out of setting a boundary for yourself and being able to say, okay, I am tempted to do X, but I'm gonna do Y instead. I'm gonna trust what I need to do. And the funniest thing is, as you do that, you start to see other people trusting you and your wisdom, and then you start trusting other people more too. It's a weird, I wouldn't say double-edged sword, but it's an outcome. It's a spiral of, that's, you know, I trust me, people trust me, and I start trusting the world. Like cynicism dies. And in this spiral, you start seeing the things that you were dreaming of and wanting start to just be magnetically drawn to you. It's really powerful. So in the time I've taken to build the trust method and understand what it means to show up to yourself and trust yourself and not abandon yourself or your trust. So like self-abandonment is looking at something and hearing your intuition like shouting at you and being like, no, I'm not gonna listen. That is like the truest form of self-abandonment. And being able to look at it and go, okay, I hear you. I'm really scared what you're telling me that I need to do or want to do is the right thing. And instead of overthinking all the possible outcomes, you just go and you just do it. Like me filming this video. I could have overthought what I was gonna say. I could have, written it out and then tried and, failed several times, but instead it's just go. So think about that. Think about the next time your intuition, that self-trust, that it's like pinging you and it's telling you, hey, this is what needs to happen. See what happens if you just do it. And then comment below and let me know like what actually happened, because I've only seen the best things happen in my life and just growth and having an expansion of good and wonderful things, even if there was some fallout or some burn or a fire. Anyway, follow and let's stay here in this trust culture, because it's expanding and growing something that's profound and powerful. And the most important thing to me is that as many people as possible begin to feel like they can trust themselves in doing things that they value and love in their life. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.